The title of this video is Astrology Update September 01 to 05, 2024. Thanks so much for chiming in. My name is Georgios. I do regular updates on astrology, and for this week of September, week number 1, we are coming out of a shit show like we've never seen a shit show before, with this Mercury retrograde cycle causing all kinds of mishaps, accidents, confusion, and just overall just unnecessary anxiety where you would be like, is this really necessary? Like, do I have to go through these communication blockages or these technology blockages, through these blockages in my thinking, in my regulation of my nervous system? What's going on? Because now that it is over, and we are in a shadow period until September 12th, now we have to pick up the pieces like, okay, what are the lessons of this retrograde? Can you give us a summary of what happened and what is the point of that? And perhaps to give you some suggestions on what to do now that it's over. Well, of course, astrology is just like you interpret what's going on and you're just trying to figure it out. And no matter how skilled you are, because of course I'm very skilled, you need to still be in a student mindset. Don't be like, yeah, I'm here to learn my lessons, and this is my lesson, and this is my lesson. Be open to be shown something new. I always like to say keep an open mind, because chances are the universe is going to play tricks on you, your mind is going to play tricks on you, and that's really where the problems are. In the mind, in our perception, in what's my role in this, what am I supposed to do about this? Because if you come from a victim stance, where you're like in your shame and guilt, oh no, I shouldn't have done that, I should have done something else, that's a very bad place to be. And nothing really grows from there, because you'll be operating at the frequency of fear. And when in fear and contraction, your mobility is blocked. And that's generally a symptom of Mercury retrograde, to block your ability to move, your ability to think clearly. It's like something's constantly trying to distract you. But again, this is over, so what is the point of it this time? The point of it is only my concept. I don't have a truth, nobody really knows. I haven't really heard any astrologer really give any reasonable explanation for what the fuck this is. So my opinion is that it's showing you something where you have a weakness. You have a weakness in how you approach the situation. Whether it's communication, whether it's how you move, moving around. It could be as simple as just using your arms and legs, your ability to orient, your ability to make plans. If there's any weakness in any of these areas ruled by Mercury, the retrograde is trying to bring them to the surface to force you to fix it. Because if you don't fix it, you're just going to be in a complete shit show. And maybe you're going to be in a shit show nonetheless, but at least when you fix it, you can move on to the next problem. Because the way it works with these retrogrades, you're going from one problem to the next problem, to the next problem, to the next problem. Every time you fix a problem, a new arises. It's not going to leave you alone. So don't think that there's something wrong with you, if things are like a cycle and it's repeating itself. No. That's exactly, what they say, it's not a bug, it's a feature. That is Mercury retrograde in a nutshell. When you feel like you're in a loop and you can't get out of this, maybe that's what's supposed to happen. Maybe you are confused and miserable and anxious because that's exactly where it wants you to be. Because if you are happy, everything's dandy, everything's fine, not much happens. How are you going to resolve your trauma if you're happy leaving the trauma exactly where it is? And the Mercury retrograde is almost like a rewiring of the brain. It's like changing those neurons to perceive the situation differently. And before you know it, your movement becomes much more precise, much more grounded, much more stable, because that's where you need to be. The retrograde is only showing you where you are ungrounded, where you're easily taken out of your center. It's like it's poking you. Aha, here I know how to distract you. The point is not to avoid getting distracted. The point is to see the distraction and ask yourself, why is this distracting me? Why am I allowing this to eradicate my mental health? And then you need to take action, to formulate a plan. Yeah, we're not in New Age here on this channel, where I'm going to suggest you to just let it go and be Zen. Fuck Zen. Fuck letting go, because that's not going to help anybody. Because chances are your nervous system is not letting go. Your nervous system is not Zen at all. So what the fuck are you doing trying to be Zen? Can't override the subconscious with the conscious. It is called subconscious for a reason, because it's separate from the conscious mind. You can't just take a belief system, take an attitude, take a mindset, a technique, and just, it's fixed. Like a band-aid. Because that's exactly what New Age cycles are trying to do. It's also what astrologers are falling into many times when they try to make a popular pose to appease you and please you. To make you feel like you're comforted, like a comfort blanket. Just let go. It's for your highest good, or what the hell. No, remember who you are. Remember where you are. Remember what's going on. You are in a hell realm. Yes, and you are a God's back. So you don't belong here. You shouldn't have any business being here, but you came here because God knows why. You don't know why. Don't fool yourself to think it's all about lessons, because you don't know, okay? But what you do know, your nervous system is fucking trying to hold you hostage. Your nervous system is torturing you. Your nervous system is trying to distract you, to sabotage you, your relationships, your finances, your career, your energy levels. Your nervous system is like the conditioning of a culture, the matrix inside your body trying to take over. And that's who you're fighting. You're not trying to learn lessons. You're trying to find peace. Doesn't matter how you get there. Just peace is the goal for everybody, whether you know it or not. So, of course, this is like Advaita teachings, but it's really basic common sense. You don't need to be an Advaita spiritualist to figure out that what you have to do is to calm your nerves. And to calm your nerves, it's not a singular technique to do that. I do somatic experiencing. I tell people, hey, are you feeling what's happening? Are you checking in? Do you know what your body is trying to do? And is your body aligned with you? Is what you want the same as what your body wants? Because if it's not, then you have to find out, okay, is your body programmed? Is it like a computer virus? Like an interject voice of another person trying to dictate your behavior, criticizing you, judging you, trying to guilt trip you, shame you? Are you recognizing where the discomfort is coming from? Because if it's coming from guilt and shame, you already know you are being misled. You already know it's the matrix. But if it's coming from, you know what, I really want this to be fixed. I want safety. I want material security, right? Let's get down to earth here. I want predictability in my relationships. I want to know that even if something breaks, I'm still good. And nothing further is going to break, right? Like imagine being a child and you live in a chaotic environment, everything breaks around you. And then as you're an adult, you come out of that environment, finally you are into safety, but your nervous system says, oh, the moment when something breaks, it means everything's going to break eventually, and I am going to torture you to prepare you for what will never happen. What's not going to happen because your body is delusional. Because the body is conditioning. Yeah, don't fall for it, for what people say online, They say, oh, your intuition, your body, you need to listen to your body. Yeah, but do you know if what your body is telling you is actually accurate? Is it representing reality? Because the body, becomes your holy cow very quickly, where you're giving your power away to an entity, maybe not external, but internal, right? The body is kind of your device. You're always in it. So you can say, well, surely if I should just listen to it, it will be fine. Again, you're giving your discernment, your ability to make rational choices away. Whether it's logic, science, the body, religion, a new cage spirituality, Advaita non-dualism shit show, no matter what it is, we are always tempted to give our power away. We're distracted so easily. So when Mercury retrograde comes along, with Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, retrograde, all this retrograde, and Uranus and Algol, and they all say, you know what? Shut up those belief systems. I'm tired of these belief systems. I have been following these doctrines to a T. Have they fixed my problems? No, they have not. Because if they fix my problems, Mercury retrograde wouldn't deliver me another shit show, right? But even if you're like on my level, I still get problems. So don't think that I'm somehow better than you or anything. Yeah. The goal is not to control the external. That is again the inner narcissist. That is again narcissism, spiritual bypassing, spiritual new cage teachings. The controller from the collective, from the matrix, saying to you, you know what? I need to prevent the consequences of Mercury retrograde. I need to control my environment. I need to find out how to prevent all these accidents, which is true to some extent. But how much is really under your control and how much is not? So then you have to separate and individuate and say, you know what? This is not under my control here. I'm trying to do my best here. Practice some fucking compassion for yourself, because perfectionism is a hallmark shadow for Mercury retrograde as well. So you can see this matrix built up is trying to fool you. It's trying to get you to always be taken over by entities, literally by demonic forces, a controller inside of you, a perfectionist, a worm tongue saying to you, you should just wait until it's over. Just hide in your house. Whatever the fuck worm tongue is telling you, to try to avoid reality. Try to avoid that which you cannot control. You're not supposed to control, so stop avoiding. Why avoid something that's not your responsibility? Because there is still a shame or guilt introduced behind it, okay? I know I'm speaking foreign language here, so let me simplify. Yes. So, the way this works, humans want safety, right? My basics I teach in all my videos 101, the sacral chakra. To find peace in any shitstorm, in any shit show, your sacral chakra must be relaxed. Yeah, this is a physiological thing, biological, not under your control. Yeah, the biology is not under your control, but that is what you're trying to fix. The sacral chakra says, I'm safe, I'm sheltered, I am stable in the long term. But the moment an accident happens, the moment things spiral outside of your control, that sacral chakra very quickly can get triggered. And like a very soft, like a small little baby, it will get upset and then it will contract. And this contraction in the root of your body is the cause of all overthinking, all anxiety, all confusion, all suffering that is mental and psychological has the root in the root. So what you're working with is to, like a baby, to calm the body. And really that's what the transits are trying to show you. Whatever other astrologers tell you, they don't really have a clue what's happening, if you ask me. If I go out there and I look around, I see only a sea of ignorance. Sorry, but not sorry. I see incompetence. I see lack of education, lack of study. Yes. Because the truth is, people are stupid. People have no clue what's going on, or what the trends are trying to show them, or what their body needs from them. Your body needs predictability, and Mercury retrograde makes things very bonkers. So I feel for anybody who's born with Mercury retrograde, because it's a lifelong lesson for them to figure out how to self-soothe. That's why you find avoidant attachment style very prominent in people who have Mercury retrograde in the natal chart, or people with prominent Virgo placements, Gemini placements, the enduring type in Reichian archetypes, the type that just tries to ignore the feelings. Because the person learned, there's nothing I can do about it, might as well embrace the chaos. So therefore, their life is chaos. And when they go into spirituality, right, hook, line, and sinker, and they fall for those detachment Buddhistic teachings that reinforce that same story. Very old pattern of detach, ignore your body, ignore the mother, leave, die. It's a form of death, and we are in a death cult. So therefore, New Age is no different. It's part of a death cult. Make no mistake, as people are being deceived left, right, and center, now more than ever, during dark times like this, people are flocking in like the masses, like the sheep, to the shepherd who says, yeah, I will teach you how to be nobody, Ram Dass, type of thing, how to calm your mind by no longer being identified with your mind. Yes, good. But then they say to not identify with a body. Yes. And as they teach some truth, then they say just let go. The root of all suffering is attachment. Boom. And the deception goes full circle. And the lies and the manipulation, the complete shit show that you're being fed is coming to fruition. Where most people, they're like, yes, that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been searching all my life. The detachment. Yes. New Age, you confirm. Which shows I am worthy. I am good enough. I can do it. I can detach. So because I can do it, and I've already been doing it, I should do it again. And I should create a religion around it, a belief system to reinforce and buttress and fortify this pathology. To be stuck in detachment, malignant detachment, as some Wagner calls it. In narcissism, it is known as a psychotic disorder to no longer care about the true self. Yes, right? How they say you're nobody, you are a drop in the ocean. All of these metaphors that they're using, how you are one with everything, and etc., etc. While there's some truth to it, the way they teach it, they try to get you to develop a false self-overlay. It means they want you to forget who you are, because you're nobody. Who you are has no value. It's just a drop in the ocean. It's just a part of a whole. It's just like a puppet on a string. They don't say that you're a puppet on the string, and yet exactly that's what they're teaching, which of course is fine. Because again, there's truth to it. How much free will do you have when there's so many things you can't control, and the conditioning is there, and the conditioning is convincing you to do things that aren't even your will? So, it's just like a joke, free will. But they don't say that. Because that's not popular, and that doesn't get you to hook, line, and sinker into what they're really doing to your mind. Which is to get you to forget, like amnesia, that this matters. Oh no, this is Maya, right? This is the body, this is the feelings, this is the shit show, this is the matrix. Yes, and that's all that you have. It's like, I have a mind, and I don't have anything else. The mind is what I have as a tool, which means the body. Because all the problems that I have is on the body level, right? They also say that. All problems are body problems. Therefore, if I detach from the body, I'm free. To detach from the body in psychology is psychosis, psychotic, because it means you don't care. And you can't have the cake and eat the cake and maintain the cake and preserve the cake at the same time. When you eat the cake, you eat the cake. You know, the cake is gone. So that means you can't get rid of your body. You can pretend like it doesn't matter, but matter is still matter. And that's all that you're dealing with. So anybody who tries to tell you that you shouldn't deal with the matter and the matter doesn't matter, it's a fantasy defense. It's a very frightened, very wounded, very helpless, very powerless child trying to find control because it feels that everything is outside of their control. And they're trying to find peace in the mayhem. But to find peace, they sacrifice the true self. Yes, the body on an altar, like a narcissist. That's exactly what we're teaching in narcissism. It's all the same. You know, it's interesting because this was supposed to be an Astrology Update. And yet here I am talking about this. Why is this important? Now more than ever. Because you see, all this mutable energy, everything's mutable, everything's whimsical. Pisces, Gemini, out of sight, out of mind. To change your mind from one minute to the next is to have no stability, no predictability, to do not know what's going to happen next, to find the center. And where do mutable signs find their center usually? Outside of their body. And we know this from human design, that the center can be so ill-defined, it's not even here. It's somewhere else. And that's a definition of mental illness. It's a definition of splitting. It's a definition of soul fragmentation. And whether you like it or not, but that's what astrology is showing you. Yeah, that's what's going on. Somebody or something's trying to fragment your soul, and now you're asking for advice. Now you're asking judges, what do I do? Spiritual people, what do I do? What's happening? I'm telling you what's happening. I'm telling you what they don't tell you. Because they don't study this shit. You need to study how the mind works in order to understand how mind control works as well. Because this is just like mind control. You know, it's just like, you don't need a physical entity. You don't need a physical person. You don't need to watch the TV to be mind controlled. All that you need is to be in a sufficient amount of distress and simultaneously a sufficient amount of ignorance, of not knowing what the fuck you're supposed to do about it. That's all you need. And then your instincts will take over. And guess what the instincts are based on? And no, it's not your intuition. No. It's a conditioning of a culture. It's your childhood. It's your past, right? How Mercury retrograde goes to the past. Symbolic it is. To tell you, hey, there's still this conditioning going on. Let's try applying the conditioning again. Let's try those defense mechanisms, the avoidance, the detachment, to circumvent and bypass all the frustration, all the anger that you have. Because that is what the Jupiter-Mars conjunction was about. You being very angry. By what? By a shit show, by some kind of a trigger. But when things keep happening to make you angry, so you're like, well, if I'm angry all the time, I'd rather just forget, lose my motivation. lose my productivity, lose my zest, my fire, my passion. Because the New Age told me that the passion is just the cause of suffering, right? Because you can't have passion and detachment at the same time. You can be detached from the outcome, but yet there is also a trap there. Because the outcome, well, what if you want to be healthy? What if you want money in the bank? What if you want a successful relationship? It's an outcome. If you detach from that, is your subconscious really gonna try to cooperate with you to achieve that outcome? If you are detached, why should your subconscious, which is you, right? You detaching, why should it make an effort? Why should it care? Why should it put in any energy whatsoever to achieve what you want? It won't. And this is how the law of attraction gets twisted. The law of attraction isn't about this is who I am and this is what's going to happen. The law of attraction is, are you subconsciously invested? Do you want it subconsciously? Yeah, out of your awareness. Because if you want it subconsciously, you will get it. You will make it happen, whether you want to or not. And then you are really a puppet, and then you really have no free will. And that again is Mercury retrograde, trying to show you with the transits. And as you can see, I don't need to go into the astrology. I don't need to look at the planets, not really. I just know what has been happening in the past month. And pretty much 99% of everybody who's watching this will resonate, because it's true. And of course, as we're moving forward, well, we have a little shit show transit on September 3, because September 3 is we have Lilith, Juno, South Node, Venus, in Libra, conjunction to each other. Talk about a shit cluster, because you are releasing some kind of a relationship there, some kind of a financial or emotional investment of some kind. Because the South Node is what we leave behind, what we have picked up perhaps during retrograde, or in the past, retrograde has tried to show you that, but it's not really completing until September 3. Of course, you have free will, right, like it matters. And you can use it to prepare yourself to, okay, something wants me to look into the dark, into my deepest, darkest secret, which is Lilith, into my shadow, into where I'm afraid I'm going to be rejected, I'm going to be blamed, I'm going to be shamed. It's time to own yourself. Yeah. Guilt and shame means you don't own it. You say, this is not me, I shouldn't have done that. To defeat guilt and shame, you have to say, yeah, this is me, this is what I demand. I want this to work, whatever the fuck it is. And I will make it happen. And if you try to stop me, it says more about you than it says about me. It's not me being the problem just because it doesn't work out. Just because the universe is putting obstacles in front of me is not necessarily a mirror. Don't fall for it. Because that's how society works. And you will see in spirituality, they use this freaking pathological example all the time. They say your environment, your relationships, who you attract, what happens to you, is mirroring you. While it's true to some extent, actually is not mirroring you. It's mirroring your conditioning, your shadow. And you have to identify, you know what, this isn't me. You know what, I'm not the problem. This is not reflection of me. And ironically, that's when the reflection goes away. When you say it's not actually my reflection. No. When you say that this isn't what you planned, and this isn't good enough for you. When you take a stand and you say no. And that's what the feminine is trying to do, to take a stand and say no. Because it's been tortured, it's been abused, it's been kicked around in both these retrogrades. This one, in August, and the last one, if you can remember, the Chiron eclipse in April. So therefore, there will be a similar theme to both of them, where it is trying to make you. The guilt is the hook, okay? It's a hook. I don't know if you ever did psychedelics before or something, but if you go into you know what visions, you will see it's a hook. Guilt is a hook, and it says, "Here, come back into your contraction. Abandon yourself. Abandon the mother." Because the mother has needs to be fulfilled. And Lilith shows us where our needs are not fulfilled, where the mother is angry. You know, the mother is screaming, the mother is contracted, barely able to give birth to anything. That's why Lilith often represents abortions. You know, things just not working out for you, like cutting the umbilical cord, getting rid of something, because you're like, the trash can syndrome. You know, it's the collective trash can syndrome. And this is a layer of consciousness. When you say, I don't have that. I don't have trash can syndrome. I don't have a wounded core. I don't have any guilt and shame complexes. Then you're playing right into the matrix. You're playing right into the virus, the vetico, the evil. It's trying to deceive you. Because it wants to create a layer upon you. To hide all that guilt and shame. So that it, from the subconscious, like pulling strings, controls your behavior. So you then attract the guilt and shame outside of you, where you are attracting people who try to guilt trip or shame you because you're acting on yourself. And that is the core of the trash can syndrome. And this is something I made up. You can't find it because it's my concept. That is what Lilith is about. I have some connection to Lilith. I look deep into the layers of his consciousness because September 3 is going to be about that. Yeah. And I've already been talking to some people, exchanging messengers, and they had already told me, you know, how they are feeling abandoned, you know, left out in the cold, even if it's a smaller thing. You know, it doesn't have to always be so dramatic, astrology, but it is still a theme. So to fix the trash can syndrome, I suggest to watch my self-esteem videos. You know, I have talked enough about this subject, and to take a stand, because the mother is important. You know, the mother is the body. That is exactly why I introduced this video, sorry, by talking about New Age. Because New Age wants you to let go of the mother. Yes, the mother is the body, the sacred chakra, the contraction you feel that you don't want to feel. So you don't want to think negatively. You don't want to worry. And before you know it, Mercury retrograde really forces you to worry, doesn't it? Mercury retrograde really forces you to think all those dark thoughts that you are trying to distract yourself from, so you don't have to deal with that wound, that pain, that suffering, that anxiety. Doesn't mean you should just sit with it. You know how they say, sit with it? Another lie. No. Sitting with it will not do anything for you. Will do nothing. You have to act on it. You know, the mother acts. Cancer is the cardinal sign. Before Mars goes into Cancer, we talk about that later. Why? Because the stomach is the moon. Mercury, how does it work together? Just to explain. Mercury is a receiver. That's why it has a symbol of two antennas on the head, like a radio. Because the thinking that you have, it's only receiving the signals of the subconscious, the signals of the moon, the signals of the mother. Yes. So the problem isn't your thinking. The problem is if you're not dealing with the thinking, if you're ignoring the thinking, if you're trying to push onward, you know. Pushing onward in my book means I face the problem. I say, you know what, this sucks. What do I do about it? How do I fix it? Let's fix it. Let's get to work. But the average person, the vast majority of people, whether you realize it or not, doesn't do that. No, no, no. They distract themselves. They watch Netflix. They eat snacks. They try to talk to somebody. They're not dealing with a problem. Problem is a feeling. And the person says, you know what? Maybe I should just think positively. Maybe New Age is right. Because my body is torturing me. And I had enough. So when you have enough, when you're really contracted, when you're really suffering, like in this Mercury retrograde, that's when you're most vulnerable for the instincts to kick in, for the reptile brain, because the reptile brain always wins when you are triggered and your logical thinking doesn't work so good anymore and you feel like you can't even think properly, then you get hooked. And that is how the New Age really gets its popularity, you know? That's just how it works. So, for some reason, I just felt compelled to talk about it. The core of the problem. This is how it works. And it's hard, you know, because, like I said before, the body isn't always a good teacher. The body is just responding like a robot. Yes, like a robot. Very predictable, also. And your job is to try to appease or calm down, regulate the robot so it functions properly, so you can think properly. Because if your body is triggered and you can't think straight, you're no good to anybody, of course. So it's not it's like modern spirituality, you know. While spirituality is just a huge distraction from the mother, from our true self, denial of the true self. That's what Alexander Lowen says in his book about narcissism. He says in his book, and I really recommend, you know, if you're new to narcissism, read Alexander Lowen's. He says that a person who's a narcissist is so unaware of their feelings that they're completely in the head. And their holy cow could be their thinking, their perspective, to control their thinking. Because there's a neurological, physiological black hole in the narcissist's heart that is trying to hide all the things that are going on down below. That's why you have something called a somatic narcissist, who is all about how they look, and they don't care, you know, how what's going on below. Yet they're hypersexual because the sexuality is out of control. The sexuality is taken over, so the person is not even trying to regulate anything. And the cerebral narcissist, somebody who's completely intellectual, trying to use their mind to explain everything, in which they are never asking their body for anything. And yet, of course, because the body is still in charge of what the mind is thinking about, remember the relationship between Mercury and the Moon, a person is still taken over by the conditioning more than ever. And that's the irony. The more you connect to your body, the more you see through the conditioning and you can actually get away from it. To take care of a body is to no longer even be thinking about the body. Once the problems are solved, you're like, oh, this feels light, this feels nice. Now I can focus on other things except this. If we are focused on this, it's not just the body, but also our appearance, how people are thinking about us, our identity. That is why identity disorders, where we don't know who we are and we are just confused and we are afraid of abandonment. All of this are just completely hardwired together. But anyways, you know, this is just like, I talk about this in my videos again and again. It's nothing new. So yeah, now we have Mercury retrograde shadow until September 12th. What to do in this time? Of course, to ground yourself, connect to what's below. Understand. Make it predictable when your sacral chakra is contracting. You know, It's a simple exercise I always suggest to people who don't have a good connection with their sacral chakra. Very easy. Worry about something. Think about something that you're afraid of. Think about something that worries you. Generally, today, in the future, whatever. Just think about it, and boom, instantly your sacral chakra, you should feel it. You should feel the contraction. And then, as the second step in this neurological robot process, because it's predictable as fuck, then the second step is that you will have a shadow, a shadow persona, a little trickster inside of you, who wants to shut it down, who wants to get away from it, who wants to distract you from it, who wants to convince you, like a neurological subconscious shifting mechanism in your brain, like a program, like a computer virus. It says, don't worry, stop worrying. It gets very impatient, like an entity, like a demon. And that's when you know your shadow. That's what you're dealing with. And everybody has it. It's a normal part of this matrix makeup. Yet nobody talks about it, except very, very few people. This is very far out, alternative psychotherapy, alternative medicine, where these people who are talking about these subjects, unfortunately, they don't have much of a following. Unfortunately, the mainstream has rejected this kind of a science because it fixes the problem too quickly. It's too easy. It's too fucking efficient. So therefore, you will not find this information in the mainstream. Wilhelm Reich, remember him, the inventor of the arm ring therapy, the guy who found a cure for cancer. He got imprisoned and then they killed him. Bye-bye. Then buried his science, buried the arm ring therapy, buried Reichian archetypes. So nobody talks about it, even though it can fix your problems, but no. So don't be shocked, don't be surprised. If the moment you find something that works for you, you find out the path to success is very narrow. Very narrow. You know how New Age dissolves your mind, makes it more mutable, that Gemini Pisces twist. How New Age, just like ADHD or something, is trying to dissolve and open you up, so you'll be like, ah. You see it sometimes in the New Age, it's like, ah. You see it sometimes. This is not a joke. This is deliberate. This is an agenda. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is real. They are trying to break you, to program you, to take over. Because when when your mind is all open and you are like, I can do this, I can do that, I can do everything, I don't commit to anything. Because I don't want to, I'm nobody, right? I don't have an identity. I'm not specific. I'm not something, so that's when you're most easy to manipulate. Because your mind is open like a baby. It's very moldable, very changeable. There's no stability here. There's no longevity. There's no future. It's a death cult, remember? They want you dead, in the gutter. But not completely, not physically, just psychologically and emotionally. Because to be narrow, to be specific, to be discerning, to be critical in your judgment, to be judgmental, right? To be judgmental, to say this mainstream science is all garbage, and then I will look and I will keep looking until I find a solution that actually works. And then you go to a random YouTube channel with maybe 1,000 subscribers or 500 views on a video, and it completely changes your life. Completely fixes all your problems. What is going on? It says so. I rarely quote the Bible, but it says in the Bible, yeah. The path to destruction is very wide. The path to destruction is very wide. That means the path to salvation is fucking narrow, like You know, an open mind, and I like to quote this because this is from Dawn of War, Warhammer 40k. An open mind is like a fortress with its gates unbarred and unguarded. It's weak. An open mind is weakness. And that's what we're teaching here, yeah? Not your new age nonsense. A closed mind, a mind that is set on narrow, that is critical, that is doubtful, cynical, skeptical, negatively oriented, that is discerning. That is the path to salvation. Yeah, not your positive thinking and your, you know what, everybody has a little bit of truth. There's two sides to every story. And it takes two to tango. So, therefore, you don't have any responsibility. There's no right and wrong. Everything goes. Because nothing goes. Solipsism, nihilism, whatever the fuck this pathological philosophy is based on. The traps are just like, it's just overwhelming. Like, so many people fall for it. I used to fall for it. And now Saturn and Pisces is like, who's falling for it? And guess what? I have my Saturn return because my natal Saturn is in Pisces. So therefore, I'm an instrument. The grandiose, you know, how the grandiose narcissist says, I'm an instrument of God. Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe, you know, you're an instrument, I'm an instrument, everybody's an instrument. But I'm an instrument for your mental illness. I'm an instrument for, I don't know what, for fixing what other people, manipulators, con artists, spiritual bypassers, new agers, religious people, the house of cards they tried to create to put you in a box and to smash that box into pieces. And that is just like a function. It's just like a wrench or a hammer. And you put the nails in like, come on! Get the mind closed. Don't be... In any case, that is basically Mercury retrograde in a nutshell, yeah? I don't know if you know any people who have Mercury retrograde in their natal chart, but perhaps you remember this video when you think about them, when you think of their personality. Because you will find these shadows primarily, sorry, not sorry, mercurial types. I know because I'm quite mercurial myself, if you haven't noticed. So I know the shadow, it's just how it is, you know. It's like a brain tumor, biologically. Physiologically, it inflames the nervous system because it creates a boundary rupture. It creates dysregulation in the nerves because it opens everything up. Now, while it opens everything up, it also makes a person more psychic. So the same condition that completely directs your mind and makes you delusional is also the conditioning that makes you more psychic, but you still have to fix it. Because if you don't fix it, your psychic senses aren't going anywhere. You know, that's why they say Mercury is a medium. Or it's mediumship, hidden messages, divine messages coming in. That's not going to be any good for anybody if you don't know this stuff. So I hope you found this video helpful. Just answering questions now. Is it mental illness to think your body is just a vessel and prioritize the quality of your soul? Actually, in somatic experiencing, I have learned that it's extremely helpful to call your body a protective container. A vessel. It's a vessel. It's a robot. It has a life of its own. You have nothing to do with it except that you are here and you are trying to understand and navigate one shit show after another because the conditioning is overwhelming. Because all the mistakes of the people who came before you, you carry them in your body. Resolving them is not easy. To self-reflect, to study psychology, you need to understand what you are doing, how your actions affect you, how your affections are others. You need to self-reflect, which is very painful, which many people don't like to do. Yes, the body is a vessel. That means you're not identified with a robot. Yeah, it is a robot, but you're still there. You're still there. This is just like a funky thing, and you're trying your best not to fall for it. But rest assured, you will fall for it again, and I will too. Everybody's falling for the programming, and nobody is beyond the body. Right? That's what we're trying to tell you in the new age. It's like this. It's like the carrot on a stick for the donkey. You know, I will make the donkey move if I just promise him that he's going to get that carrot eventually, by just dangling it in front of him. What are they dangling in the spiritual community in front of you? That you're eventually gonna reach a state of Advaita, non-dualism, and you no longer get influenced by the suffering of the body, and that you're in constant bliss. How ridiculous is that? As if you can. It's grandiosity, really. It's magical thinking, but why is it so convincing? Because you don't know. You don't know any better. Most people don't. How are you going to know this stuff? And that is why this new cage nonsense wouldn't even work if you weren't kept in complete and utter ignorance. And all of this knowledge of how these things really work is on a 1,000 subscriber channel. And not your 100,000 subscriber channel like the holistic psychotherapist or somebody. Right? Because the path to success is very, very narrow. And of course, if you're interested to learn more, you can check out my services. I do somatic embodiment one-on-one sessions where I go through the conditioning, through the pain, all the triggers in your body, all the defenses, so you can become aware of them, so you can become able to get them out of your body, because you're recognizing, wait a second, I know exactly what's going on. I'm not falling for it this time. Right? Because that's what it is. Trauma means Traum in German, means illusion. It's a dream. Trauma leaves delusion in the body, not your mind, your body. The mind is just regurgitating and repeating what the body's signals are. And the body's signals are false when you are traumatized, completely false. Make no mistake, whoever tells you to always listen to your body has no idea what they're talking about. Listen to your body, yes, and then find out, are you actually fucking kidding me or not? And that is supposed to be easy. That is supposed to be solvable with a simple quote as, yeah, just listen to your body, it's fine. Yeah. No, it's not. If things were that simple, there wouldn't be that much confusion. And of course you know that, otherwise, there wouldn't be confusion. There wouldn't be frustration. There wouldn't be anger. Like, how am I still falling for this? Like, shouldn't I be so intuitive? Shouldn't I always make right decisions now? Well, not if your intuition is distorted with trauma and your body is deceiving you. And the only way to figure it out is to study this stuff. If you don't study it, like, okay, good luck, that is most people. Good luck to most people, because they are completely screwed. They don't care. They don't study. They don't learn. Don't throw your pearls in front of swine. So my channel is for you. My channel is for those people who really do care, who want to get better, who want to understand what's going on. What the fuck is shit show? And, my services are available. It's very unpopular, because there's fear of being exposed. Yeah, there's these shadows going on in people's minds. They're trying to sabotage them, to prevent them from taking therapy, by convincing them that I'm somehow intimidating or aggressive or hostile. Do you know that the most famous healer in history, Wilhelm Reich, is a fucking Aries sun, and he healed people by massaging them so hard that they couldn't walk for days, by penetrating their mind and their body so aggressively that it hurt, and that is what healed them. That is what actually worked. But no. We are in Pamperingville now, right? We are in a soft, weak society where I need to be like feeding a baby with the spoon to make it so comfortable, so cozy. Oh yeah, my empathic, sweet, angelic Cancer, Sun and Cancer rising judges, making me feel so sweet to get the therapy that I really need. No, I'm not going to be that sweet because that sweetness is to make you comfortable, to make you safe, but it's not actually healing anything. It's not actually getting to the causes. To get to the causes, you need to get to the triggers. How can you get to the triggers without aggression? How can you de-armor if you're not willing to use a fucking screwdriver to unclog the nails in the armor that are keeping it tight to your chest? And then you're like, no, don't take off my armor. I'm vulnerable, I'm naked. Yeah, you're supposed to be naked, that's the whole point. You're supposed to be under the jurisdiction of the unlocking principle, penetration. We know with Chinese medicine, acupuncture, you go deep into the tissues, and that's what's doing the healing. Yeah, not love and light unicorn rainbows. Love and light unicorn rainbows, we have been doing this for so long. Is it working for anybody? No, it's not. So here we have an alternative. If you're interested, you can read more about my services in the description down below. Photo album page on my services. And if you like to book a reading, which is less invasive, but still I talk about the conditioning, I talk about the shadows, I talk about the dynamics, I talk about where the blockages are. If you're really interested in that, you can book a reading with me, Astrology. And I actually do a new service now. I do free 5-minute consultations. If you're looking to have like what we call it in Germany, a Schnupperstunde, to schnupper whether I am the right fit for you. But of course, from the videos, you should already get a feeling for it. And I hope that is something I can provide. So if you're interested, you know where to reach me. With that being said, thanks so much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. With that being said, see you in the next video.